Episode 14 of the Nancy Drew Show is called The Whisper Room, unless I'm totally forgetting. As we saw at the end of the previous episode, this is an alternate reality. It's Nancy's dream world. She wakes up in her dream world where everything's perfect and everyone loves her, and that's the premise of the episode. Now, I've seen a lot of sci-fi where they've done alternate reality universes, so I feel a little disappointed by this one because nothing's really different. 95% of this universe is exactly the same as the normal reality. That feels like a waste. They could have done really interesting things or made things super different. Like, say, George is male in this new reality, or Bess is French in this new reality, and Ace has 3 kids in this new reality. You know, just something wild and crazy, not Ace is exactly the same, Bess is exactly the same, Nick is exactly the same. It's like, what are you doing? You can do different things in this world. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because we're never going to see this alternate reality again. Another thing where it kind of differs from normal sci-fi is generally on like Star Trek or something like that. Our character realizes they're in an alternate reality about a third or halfway through the episode. Here, Nancy figures it out instantly. Before the first commercial break, she realizes, oh, this is a fake world, none of this is real, I've got to get out of this world. So how does she get out of this world? Well, she needs to open a specific door, and she left herself a riddle to solve. So it's Nancy solving a mystery with Nick. And that was interesting, because we've seen this in many other episodes. Nancy and Nick solve a mystery together, a short mystery together, and it works, it's fine. They made things a little bit different by the fact that Nancy has never met Nick before in this reality, so he doesn't know her. However, as I said, it's 95% the same as the normal reality, so Nick doesn't act different, he acts exactly the same. He's just like, okay, I'll go along with whatever you say, Nancy, I'll do whatever you say, because you're super hot, yeah, I love you. And Nancy gets sidetracked making out with Nick, and, you know, they do adult stuff together. That was so weird, because it's an alternate reality. Nancy knows, hey, this isn't real, you aren't real, let's have sex. What? Like, mind-blowing weirdness. I don't know. Oh. Like, if this was an alternate reality where Nancy woke up and she's married to Nick, whoa, you know, I actually would have liked that a lot, actually, or married to Owen, or, yeah. They just could have done so much. They could have made things different. Instead, the big difference is that Nancy's mom is still alive. Also, George was different. George loves Nancy and she hugs Nancy, but that's it. George basically falls into the background for the rest of the episode, along with Bess and Ace. They're not important. It's a Nancy-Nick episode. So George is basically there to establish, hey, this is a new, different reality. And that's all. We kind of got the message because Nancy's mom is alive. So, Nancy's mom is alive, and surprisingly dramatic scene where Nancy's mom makes the phone call, where, you know, she learns that she's not dying of cancer, yay! But Nancy's mom eventually figures out, oh, I'm dead in your normal reality. So she gives Nancy a big pep talk about life and death, and Nancy's like, you know, the world just doesn't feel the same without you in it, Mom. So Nancy sort of comes to terms with her mother's death. I feel like we did that in the previous episode, the mid-season finale, right? Where Nancy and her father bonded over the fact that her mother died. Yeah. There's kind of a weird moment at the end where Nancy says goodbye to all the people in this alternate reality, and she says, you know, in the real reality, you guys aren't happy. Your lives are kind of terrible. And that would have been another interesting avenue to explore. It's like, oh, is this a reality where everybody's life is perfect? Or is it just a reality where Nancy's life is perfect? That could have been something interesting to, you know, play around with. Just an interesting plot thread that they didn't really pick up on. Instead, it ends up being sort of like the episode where Ace was in a coma, and Nancy's just sort of in the alternate reality spirit world in that episode, right? So we get to spend one episode in this alternate reality, which we're never going to see again, and doesn't really affect the plot, but does give us a little bit of insight into a character, specifically just Nancy and how she feels about her mom. So, in the real world, our heroes try to break into Larkspur Lane again, into the room where Nancy is, and carry her out. And this kind of weird moment where there was this priest character, and he talks like this, like he's Batman, or he's Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. So, yeah, he talked in this really weird voice. He appears and disappears inside a car, and he was really stingy when it comes to holy water. It's like, here's a small jar of holy water. Be careful. I will be in huge trouble if they find out I gave it to you. And that's weird because I'm Catholic, so Catholics give holy water away for free. This is a holy water cup. It's a really tiny version. The ones you see in churches are generally about, this big. So we give it away for free. It's at the entrance of every single church. People are meant to just come in, you dip your hand in the holy water, and make the sign of the cross. That was another little weird thing in the episode. They're like dabbing the holy water like moisturizer, when in reality people make the sign of the cross with holy water. That's how it's done. Also, do you know how holy water is made? So the priest makes the sign of the cross over some water and says a one-sentence blessing. That's it. It's a really easy formula for creating holy water. So weird that this guy is so stingy about it. So, I don't know. Thought it was strange myself. And there were some minor cool special effects when they tried to drag Nancy out of the room, but they couldn't. And I didn't really feel invested in the drama of our characters trying to drag Nancy out of this room in the real world, because they got into a huge fight. They were like screaming and everything. But it really didn't matter, because I knew everything they did wouldn't matter, because it's Nancy in this alternate reality. Once she unlocks the door, she's safe and she's out. So I knew Nancy would save herself, and nothing our characters did in the real reality had much of an effect. Like, they said to Nancy, "Please, wake up, Nancy, you've got to wake up." And then post-it notes saying, "Please wake up," or dropping from the ceiling. Nancy didn't notice because she was too busy having make-out time with Nick. So, yeah. So, really, I think my recommendation for this episode would have been sort of cut out all the stuff that's happening in the real world. Just the entire episode takes place in this alternate reality, and have things in the alternate reality be different, or new, or interesting. Because I'm thinking of, say, fan fictions where Harry is a Hufflepuff, or Harry is adopted by Snape, where, you've got a good premise to the alternate reality, but you need to follow through. Because if the story ends up being 95% of the same as the book, then it's not going to be an interesting story and people aren't really going to read it. And that's sort of the case with this episode. It's like, it's got an interesting hook, an interesting premise, Nancy's dream world, but you don't really do anything with it. It just becomes Nancy and Nick solve a scavenger hunt mystery. I noticed this series seems to be like the video games, and that we're doing a scavenger hunt. Just look in the past several episodes where, okay, at the end of one episode, Nancy finds this page from a report that leads her to Lucy's mom, which leads her to this room, which leads her to this card, which leads her to a video. That's the clue she finds at the end of this episode. There's a video that Tiffany Hudson made. She's got some sort of medallion, and I imagine Nancy's going to follow up on that medallion in the next episode. Oh, I should mention there was a character named Hannah Gruen. Nice little shout out to the original Nancy Drew books. And yeah, so sort of like the video games too, where, like in Secret of the Old Clock, you have to open the carriage house, and then you find the mirrors, and then you find the crystal, and then you find the numbers for the radio. So you just go from A to B to C to D, that's just so on and so forth. Nancy's just finding one clue at the end of every episode, and that seems to be the way that the series is progressing right now. As I said in the past few episodes, it seems to be with binging on the mind, because it would be good for binge watching, as opposed to standalone episodes. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this counts as a standalone episode, or just another episode where we have a small mystery scavenger hunt to solve, / we get to see this little alternate reality, just like, Ace's spirit world? I don't know. So, let me know what you think. Bye, everybody.